Welcome to Ground Up Growth, where we share entrepreneurial insights, business strategies, and personal growth lessons to help listeners build success from the ground up.
Welcome back to Ground Up Growth. Today we are continuing our conversation with Grace Sturdivant with OtoPro Technologies. This will be episode 2 with her, and we are going to pick up where we left off talking about the ins and outs of her business and the headwinds that she faced in starting her company, and just kind of just the intricacies of the warpath to get where you're at, I guess. I don't know.
Sometimes it does feel like a warpath.
It is a warpath.
So tell us about your business structure. And because you alluded to at the end of the last episode, times where you could scale, and instead you were focused on, you kind of wanted this lean team so you can continue to offer the support and service that really the company's built on.
That's right. When we started growing quickly, it was relationally driven. The whole thing's been relationship driven. I met a guy named Josh Raggio, who has a duck call cult following, Raggio Custom Calls. And he was at a Ducks Unlimited banquet, where one of my first events, where I went and just set up a table, started talking to people, and he took an interest. Well, he had gotten to be friends with a guy named Jean-Paul Bourgeois, a Cajun guy from Louisiana. He hosted a show called Duck Camp Dinners for the MeatEater network. And I started working with John Paul. He's a chef, and anyway, he's this really fun guy, but I started working with him with his hearing and coming up with hearing protection that would meet his needs. And, he called me up and he's like, I just really think that the rest of the guys, and particularly Steve Ranella, would be interested in what you're doing out in Bozeman. So I'm just going to introduce you and just see what happens. Well, I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. We were still so small at this point, and we meaning it was just me.
Oh my goodness.
Me and the mouse in my pocket.
It was just me.
What year was that?
This would have
21.
been 21.
Somebody's listening then.
Yeah, listen to him, 21. So I'm going, all right, here we go. I'm going to go out there, and there was no plan other than I was supposed to have 20 minutes of his time. And flying to Bozeman is not cheap. It's not easy. I had 3 kids at home. It was I'm like, I don't know what this is going to turn into, if anything. So
They only gave you 20 minutes?
That's all I was scheduled for, was 20 minutes.
Wow.
So I show up out there, but I think, man, I need to at least document this, right? So I go out there, and this guy named Aaron Davis, who's a photographer in kind of the outdoors industry, and is a friend of a friend. I had him come meet me out there because I at least just wanted to get some great photos with the whole team out there. I didn't know who MeatEater was or Steve Ranella, but I learned pretty quick. So I go out there, and this 20-minute meeting turned into almost 4 hours because
Really?
Steve was so interested. He's such an academic, and I think what he was drawn to was the mission behind the fact that I wasn't just trying to come out there and throw product at him to sell a product. I wasn't a sales rep from a company that was just trying to get product placement on his shows and his platforms. But instead, I came at it as, look, I get it. I come from this world. I understand this world. I respect the world. I respect that this hunting community is dang near a spiritual experience for people. Hunting season is this sacred thing for this community, and I understand that. And instead of saying guns are loud, don't shoot guns, like the rest of the medical community, I'm going to say guns are loud, and this work is really important for your own well-being and for conservation.
Ooh.
Like coming at it from that angle and saying, I want to help you do this better for longer. I want your kids to be able to do this.
That's a really good point. I didn't even think about that, because that'd be so easy to be in the audio world to be like, don't do that. That ain't smart to be shooting them guns.
That's right.
That's pretty
right.
cool. I bet that did.
Being a Mississippi-bred daughter of a, everything hunter, that is what gave me the advantage.
You're authentic. But I mean, like, again, it's not a sales pitch.
It just wasn't a sales pitch. It was truly like,
passion,
I have information that I want to give to you.
Yeah.
And so
he did eat that up.
Ended up and just had all these technical questions. He was really into the neurological side of hearing loss and what's happening in your brain. And I mean, one question led to another. And then it was like, we really need to have this conversation on our podcast. And I was just like, really? Wow. So I molded everybody's ears, the whole team, that day. I mean, I was there all day. That 20-minute thing turned into like an all-day thing.
Did you miss your return flight?
No. I was spending the night that night.
If you were there for 4 hours, hopefully he cooked for you. That man.
No, he didn't cook for me. But I molded everybody's ears.
I can't cook, and I've got the cookbook. This dude, I don't know if you know Steve or not. He's super smart, too.
Super smart, and also just what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
You know, being a polite Mississippi debutante, you know, these guys hold nothing back. Their language is kind of crude, and, you know, if you listen to the podcast and all, but they're just so authentically who they are, and they come from a place of passion, and any one of those guys would be doing exactly what they're doing, whether they were on the air with it or not. They're just doing their thing.
That's right.
What I'll also say about that group of people is they have been the most receptive and grateful. I got individual emails from those guys after I left, thanking me for being there, asking me follow-up questions. I mean, they have been. That shows the
service side of their business as well, you know.
And I've maintained those relationships, and some of the guys have even left the MeatEater franchise and moved on to other things. But they're quality people,
right?
Really quality people.
That's good to hear.
So we set a date for me to come back and record the podcast, and I brought all of their products to deliver at that time. So that worked out nicely. And then since then, I've been a repeat. They kind of call me their in-house hearing guru. So I did an episode with the Silencer Central people and did a deep dive on silencers and suppressors and how that works and all that. But to go back to your question, before I went down that major rabbit hole, I'm so sorry.
I pulled you down that rabbit hole.
Put the guardrails up, like keep me on task. But so when we had that exposure, it was like, all right, I need to be able to handle this. So I did hire some extra people, but a lot of the manufacturers of products started coming to me, two in particular, and wanting me to basically be an ambassador for their brand. And they were offering, of course, you can imagine there's a value associated with that. But all of a sudden they're like, whoa, we really want you to sell our product, and we want exclusivity, and we want da-da-da. And I was never willing to do that, because the whole premise is to be agnostic when it comes to brands, so that when I talk to Paul Hopper, I can listen to what you need.
Right.
And
not have to push this.
And not be pushing, because it is not one size fits all. It is just not. I mean, people have different preferences for the way the sound quality is going to be. Yeah. They need different features. Some people want Bluetooth. Some people need a radio hookup. Some people need, it's just also individual. And I wasn't willing to sacrifice that. I've also been approached by potential investors, which I'm not interested in, just to put that out there. But because honestly, this is a business that's never had any debt. I mean, like I say, I built this business from a couple of $100 out of my checking account, and I've never had to take out a loan. It's like we're building based on what we get. And some business people might say that's not smart and we need to have good debt and all this kind of stuff. No, I'm just not, that's not who we are. Now, when I'm ready to pass the torch, go for it.
Right.
But for now, what I'm trying to do is slow and steady build so that we can handle and maintain the level of customer service our clients have come to expect. Mm-hmm. So one thing I explored for a while was developing our own technology. There's not a lot of innovation in this space when it comes to like what's new coming out. And I have this whole dream list of what my dream product would be. Mm-hmm. And it would be a really great product. But I started seeking information and had some meetings and started putting pen to paper of what that investment would look like. And I would need to go all in on a product. There's a company out there, and I'm really not afraid to talk about it openly, and they'll probably listen to this podcast episode, but Tetra. a hearing protection company that does a lot of marketing. They do a great job with their marketing. Developed by two guys who I was at Vanderbilt with. One of them was my direct mentor through the Vanderbilt audiology program. Dr. Bill Dickinson and David Genevico started a company a couple years after I started OtoPro called Tetra. And they were developing product, whereas I was developing service. Mm-hmm. So you've kind of got your contrast right there.
Yep.
And they have invested all this money in product. So now they got to sell it. And I'll just say OtoPro does not sell any Tetra products. We don't carry Tetra. Because I feel that there are other products available on the market right now that meet more of the need. But so I was looking at that and nailing, even if it's my own product, bogging myself down with a product when by the time it comes to market, there might be something better available. But now I'm stuck with all this inventory.
That's a whole nother world.
It's a whole different world. It's a whole different business. It's not the business that I started this with passion about. And so I ended up deciding, but I mean, I had, like I say, investors coming at me like, hey, like we'll back you if you want to, the product game is where you're really going to have the biggest payout. And again, that was never the goal. Right. If there's a big payout at the end, that'd be fantastic. I'm not going to say I'm not looking for that. And, a couple of years ago, if you'd asked me, where do you want to be in 10 years? I was still in such of this evolutionary limbo. Like I couldn't have really answered that question. Now, when you ask me that question, I mean, sure, I would want to sell this. But what I realistically see selling to is to another audiologist who wants to carry that torch. I don't necessarily see this if this becomes a super big company, then we're not OtoPro anymore. I never want somebody to have to sit and wait on hold. I don't want my clients to have to call an 800 number. I mean, this is the whole reason why they don't just buy directly from the manufacturer, right? They come to us because they want it to be personal.
Yeah, the relationship.
So that's where, I mean, maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot. Hindsight will be 2020. But for now, my goal is to build the happiest client base. 100% customer satisfaction, even if that means I got to give your money back. Yeah. At the end of the day, there are some people that what they're asking for is just not realistic, and we'll try a couple different things. We'll swap things out and try it. But if you're just never going to be happy with what we're able to provide you, then we're going to give your money back.
So as of right now, so you haven't signed any type of exclusivity contract with Sound Gear or whoever. So now Paul Hopper comes in, he get his ears looked at, and we pick a package because I want to do something specific. I want to, be a duck hunter. I want to be on the NASCAR pit crew or whatever is strategically for that. Whatever I'm going to be doing, you've got basically a different swath of vendors that you can say, all right, this is the best fit, versus if you sign an exclusivity agreement with Tetra, say, it'd be like, even though I know you need earplug B, I'm gonna put you in A.
That's right.
But it forces you to get out of the authenticity.
That's right.
So I guess I'm kind of going around to say
like Sound Gear, for example, the year and the year following that they launched their product called the Phantom, which is still our top seller. It's Bluetooth, it's rechargeable, it amplifies. I mean, when I say Bluetooth, it means you can control the leaves rustling around you and how loud that is. And then you can control the audio of whatever's streaming wirelessly through your phone. So you can be in a deer stand, amplifying the leaves rustling, streaming a ball game in your ear at the same time. Sophisticated technology. And when that came out, we immediately became the top dispenser for that product internationally and the year following. And at the same time, while we have a great relationship with Sound Gear and our customers go to the front of the line, I mean, we have a line to the top to take care of our people. At the same time, we're competition because they're trying to sell through soundgear.com. We're trying to sell the same products through OtoPro. So it's like we're competition, but they need us, but we need them. So it's an interesting tightrope. A big headwind I had when I was building this preferred provider network that we talked about on the previous episode is that I would send people to a clinic, and even if these clinics were not actively pursuing prevention, if they sold Starkey hearing aids and therefore had these sound gear products in their product lineup, when they would ask a client who came in, well, what are you ordering from OtoPro? If they said sound gear, then some of those clinics would say, well, cancel that order. I'll order it for you for $100 cheaper. So the sell around. So those clinics, you quickly learn, when I'm fostering these relationships with clinics, they have to be willing to see the long game. If they're going for the short-term immediate sell and they're going to try to sell out from under us, it's just not going to work out.
This ain't gonna work.
But what clinics are now seeing more and more.
Do you go to every one of those clinics, or is
No.
it just a phone call? Yeah.
Phone
that'd be a
call.
lot of flights.
I try to visit if I'm in the area or something,
Yeah.
but no, it's just a phone call. But they're coming around to is that if they will honor those visits and not try to undercut that sale, what they're getting is a much more valuable long-term hearing aid client that's going to bring in a lot more for their clinic than just this one product sale.
That would be huge for that clinic. Like, I mean, they're getting the customer put in their lap.
That's right. Yes. And they're still charging for that service.
Right.
So it's not
it's a win-win.
Right. I'm not asking them to do anything for free. I know what it's like to work in that clinic, and I know what those numbers look like. And you have to pay, you have to charge for your time.
You talk about like a barrier for entry, like as a real estate broker and being a realtor, like y'all could go get your license right now, and the barrier for entry is nothing. Like you just go pass the test and you can start selling. What you've got, like, okay, you want to be my competition? Go get your doctorate in audiology and then come holler at me. Go out and start your own company and be an audiologist and come holler at me. Like, I love how like protected you are in that.
You'd like to think I'm protected, but there've been a number of cases where people don't go get their doctorate and they don't have any certification.
Back to the earwax.
And they just tell these different companies like Sound Gear, they'll say, oh, we have all the credentials, and they'll set up this has been an ongoing fight.
Oh my gosh.
A battle between me
exactly
and Sound Gear and other companies like them is they will give contracts to people who aren't qualified. And as long as that person documents, then Sound Gear, Starkey Legal says, they've documented what they need to with us. If you want to take that up with them, you can. Listen, I have gone down the rabbit hole of going through the Better Business Bureau, reporting people.
Right.
I shouldn't tell the story, but I will, because I think it's just so real. And not, obviously I worked really hard to get my doctorate. I have this whole business is based on the whole background, all of it, and, there were a handful of places that were selling the same products that are Class 2 medical device hearing aids through the FDA. You were supposed to be credentialed to sell this product, much less to be making these ear mold impressions required to do the product. And people were doing them just like truly willy-nilly.
Yeah, like a food
And this
truck.
one person said they were a doctor. And when I dove into their credentials, they had like a doctorate in zoology, which I didn't know was a thing. But she was wearing a white coat and had this whole concierge hearing protection thing.
Talk about fake
like
it till
such
you
a
make it.
copycat, but like not. And so I created an alias, and I'm not going to tell you the name of the alias, but I created a Gmail account for that alias, and we started emailing some of these people, asking questions like secret shoppers about the products, asking about hearing loss, asking just all kinds of questions. And then we would get paper trail, written responses from these unqualified people.
Right.
With blatant lies and misinformation. And then what did I do? Sorry, but I mean, not sorry. I turned it into the manufacturer. I turned it into the Better Business Bureau.
Here's your sales rep right here. Yeah.
But honestly, that was such a waste of time.
Really?
What's going to happen eventually? Those people, that candle's going to burn out.
Oh yeah, it will,
Yeah.
100%.
And if I could go back and tell myself something, it was that, you wasted a lot of energy and you let this stress you out and you got real personally offended by it. And my time is much better spent focusing on doing what we do
You're
as
exactly
best as we
right.
can. And just, that's all you need to do. People will find you eventually. But
Yes. It's so tough though.
It is
Every
so
industry
tough.
you deal with those knockoff, whatever you want to call it. I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's like, if you take your time, you should be focused on growing and
Right.
cultivating relationships and the things that have gotten you to where you're at. But in turn, it's so hard, like the human part of things. You want to be like, you know what? You're fake and I'm going to call you out.
And that's not right. And you're potentially doing harm to people and you're cheapening the whole industry.
Man,
Right?
we could have a whole...
So it's just, but like I say, if I could go back and tell myself something during that period, it's like, dude, just stay in your lane and continue to excel to the best of your ability every day. Do it better than the day before. And you will be here years after
That's right.
they are.
Yeah, they're
So,
flashing the pan.
they're
That
flashing
stuff
the
will
pan.
be exposed.
Yeah. So,
But I can totally see how that would be, because like if y'all are selling the same product, like you don't want to be associated with that. It's like you want to be premier. Like there's an argument, I guess, for exclusivity in that, like if you could
yeah.
you could separate yourselves from. But I agree, that's part of business. I mean, those are headwinds that you just gotta chop through, and like that's so interesting. People would not. I mean, people that are thinking about starting a business, that are listening to this kind of stuff. It's like, it ain't, because I'm sure you hear it all the time. It must be nice, and it's like, where were you back when?
Well, and just all the things that, I spent I feel like I'm in a very settled place now,
Right.
where I know who we are, and I know that we don't need to try to be all things to all people. I kind of went that direction and decided I need to stay focused on my core demographic. And I also need to stay focused on what we do best, which is service, not product. And instead being the expert on all products instead of going all in on one product. I explored setting up my own ear mold lab. A lot of what we do are medical grade silicone products that use different filters to manipulate the sound that hits your eardrum in different ways, depending on what environment you're in. And there's hundreds of different filter options, and people can send me, like in occupational settings, if you own a factory, you can send me your noise hygiene report, and I can look at all the specs of your noise data in the environment and come up with hearing protection for your employees. You can tell me whether they need a radio hookup, whether they need to be able to talk on the phone. There's just I can curate and create and take parts and pieces.
And you love that though, like you get that,
I love
that
it. I get
audio,
so
audible
energized
report. It'd be
God.
like me you handed me a map. I'd be
Yeah,
like, ooh.
I dive into that and I'm like, ooh, we need to be okay. So
Look at
a
these
really cool
decibels.
we did this for an Entergy plant up in Greenville, where I took some in-ear monitor technology and basically took a lower end, like dual driver in-ear monitor, and gave it a radio hookup for their radios, but then I put an industrial filter in it that focused on the spectrum of noise that was the highest in that setting, so that they could maintain face-to-face communication but optimize what's coming through the radio. That was a cool build that required putting parts and pieces together from different companies, so that was cool.
Wow, that's intense.
The full circle moment for me was when I got a call from this guy Frank at Vanderbilt, and he was with the Life Flight helicopter division at Vanderbilt Medical. And it was so fun to go back to Vanderbilt and go up on that helipad. And I started studying, I've nerded out so hard on these helicopters and the rotor blades and the rotor noise. And I had them sending me the exact make and model of the helicopters that they are using. And then I'm interviewing people talking about, like, tell me about walk me through the whole scenario. Like, okay, you're going out onto the helipad to meet a helicopter, or are you on the helicopter wearing a helmet? So do we need that CEP connection hookup to your helmet? Are you running out to meet the the gurney, the whatever that the person's on. And they're like, yes. And it is so loud and we're hollering commands at each other and we got to be able to hear, but this noise is so loud. So studying all of that and then coming up with tailored solutions for those people, that was really cool. So then I got to go to their health and safety seminar and do a lecture for them. And it was just this really cool full circle moment to be back in my kind of home turf at Vanderbilt and doing this and coming up with these new solutions. So that's awesome. Cool. But again, rabbit hole. So a lot of what we do is made of this medical-based silicone stuff where I use a variety of different labs to get those things made. And I've explored whether we need to just have our own lab here. But then all of those tangents would take me away from the core of what we do. Mm-hmm. So, maybe if I had taken a business class or an accounting class or something, I wouldn't be as hesitant to develop those different branches. But I'm very settled right now in knowing who we are and what we do, and I have good systems set up. And
well, there's something to say also for being lean and mean. Like if you get involved in too many things, like we've only got so much time to fool with things, and as you grow, if you were to go that route, a product route, and then grow and scale, like you would by default have to delegate. And like I love how you don't have just this massive payroll, and like to your point, the overhead is very slim. And like, I've said this before, like I've never had an assistant in all my years of real estate, and it's, call it, whatever, where you can't delegate, whatever word that is. What do they call that?
Like micromanaging?
Micromanaging. That's what I was trying to say. Call it that or whatever. But like at the end of the day, you're not risking your reputation. Like you've got it all there, and you can control the narrative for everything.
And
so
even like as
I don't think you're missing out.
Just yesterday, I was renewing my SAM.gov registration, and I'm going through the credentialing to be a women-owned small business through SAM.gov, so bid on government contracts. And we've done a few deals with some Air Force squadrons, with some USDA groups, and what the big differentiator is that we're not one product. And these people are finding us and they're saying, well, we've got some guys that need to get this and some guys that need this, and this is our budget, and what can you do? And we can make it work.
Yes.
And so that is different from, sure, they could go directly and get a bid from Sound Gear or from these different groups.
Right.
But they don't necessarily want that.
Yeah.
So that's worked in our favor.
Yeah, and you would have missed that opportunity had you aligned exclusively
even if it was aligning with my own brand. That's why I don't.
Oh yeah.
I'm not exclusive to our products. And then if we get a big order or a giant group, I can bring in those 1099 employees or my children. Like when we first put together our first prepackaged product that was available for wholesale, and the parts and pieces start all coming in. I've got these pictures of all my kids and my husband like sitting around the table like putting these packages together, and you just do it.
That's what it takes. Man, that's good stuff.
Yeah,
that is good stuff.
I value so much that you've obviously had a lot of growth with the business and just gotten an opportunity to really get your service out there. And I really value, because we work with businesses that have grown really quickly, scaled really quickly, and then they lose who they are, like they lose their brand. And you have to go back and do a lot of figuring out, like, let's go back to what we are and how we put that in place. But you're avoiding all those headaches because you're really staying true to who you are.
Staying simple.
And what your goal and what your mission is. So I think that's awesome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's become a huge part of my life and my family's lives. And it is still such a passion project. And I'm not willing to sacrifice that.
Man, that's good stuff.
Yeah, that's great.
Man.
Yeah. It's been cool.
Well, I know we're close to time. There's a few questions I have I'd love to get your advice on. You're different in some of our guests in that you have a woman that's owned this business. That's fairly rare. So advice to women, specifically in male-dominated industries. I know that can be a little tough. Like you have the you have the personality for it. Like I'm sure you've had a lot of success because of that. But also what you said at the beginning about being a mom and trying to balance that.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you're like, all right, and praying about it, like, God, what do I do? And I have a very similar story with how I got to where I am. So many women struggle with that. So how do you balance all of that? And I guess just general advice for people that kind of want to break the mold and do something different, which is what you're doing, or specifically for women that are craving a career and craving motherhood, and how you balance that.
Those are really great questions. The first thing I'll say for anybody, male or female, when you're breaking the mold, sometimes your lack of...
No pun intended.
I didn't even catch it.
I knew you didn't catch that. I was like, surely she's going to catch
puns
that.
present themselves like
There's been a few
they really
puns in
do.
this conversation.
But regardless of male or female, when you have a non-traditional idea and you're truly going to forge a new path, don't be intimidated. Like me, like I'd never taken a business or an accounting class. And I think that was actually an advantage because when you're trying to do something new, I think it would have held me back.
Yep.
If I had tried to sit down and run the numbers and make it fit in a pro forma and do all the, I think I would have talked myself out of it because it really didn't make a lot of sense from that standpoint. It was just, I knew it was needed and I knew it would work. When we came up with our first, that first branded product I was telling you about, the parts and pieces, my husband looked at me and he's like, where's your break even? And who's going to buy this? I'm like, I don't know, but it's going to work. And so, truly, sometimes you really do. It might be irresponsible advice. It might sound like that to some people, but for me, I think that your lack of experience can be your greatest asset, especially when you're having to creatively come up with new ways of doing things.
I think that's a really good point because to me, one of the biggest things with that is you didn't know what OtoPro was going to be before you started it or what the trajectory or the path that it was going to go on. And so had you had those credentials or the business side of things, it would have I agree, it would have probably stunted your
Or I would have started toward a goal that was not where this was meant to go.
Yep.
This business has been years of just doing the next right thing. The next right thing. Give me enough light for the step I'm on. That is it. And the prayer every day is help me help this business so I can help more people, and having that sort of a mentality instead of a, how do I make the most money possible attitude. Now, granted, let's be honest. I have a safety net that a lot of people don't have. I was not the breadwinner for our family when I made this choice. And I don't try to act like some hero that put it all on the line to do this. That's not how it happened for me. And I'm really lucky to have a very supportive husband. At the same time, as a woman, I've had friends that are like, how long are you going to keep working like this? Those words, some of the things people say to me, I'm just like,
we're built different. We're built different.
We're just wired. God wired us different. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'll always work. It's just I'll never not work. But that's not to say that if you're staying home with your kids, that's not work. That is real work.
Yeah.
When you have a new idea, I also tell people to hold it very carefully in a very sacred space. And do not ask for advice or input from people who you would not want to model your life after.
That's great advice.
As a woman in the South, I was involved in a Bible study that was wonderful. And this Bible study had a mentor in the group that was a woman much older. And she was so wise, and I respected her a lot. And when I brought up in this Bible study that I had this idea and that I was, optimistic about it and all that, she, in a well-meaning way, pulled me aside afterward and said, why are you going to do that? You can't raise your kids later. You can do this later. God gave you these kids. You need to raise these kids. It shook me.
No doubt.
It really shook me. And my kids have and always will be such a top priority for me.
Right.
But what I wish I had told her in that time was, I know that I have this drive and this motivation and this passion for a reason.
Right.
And I have 3 daughters. And how wonderful if they have the luxury to choose someday. But they might not. And I know, if God forbid anything were to happen to my husband, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
I got it. And I know I can. And a lot of women don't have that security. And we become so dependent, because we do choose to raise our families. And there is no replacement for mom. There never will be. I've had school teachers who, during the season where I had to miss a whole lot of stuff, I was finally able to come to this. I don't want to give too many details because I don't want anybody to figure out who this teacher was, because she's really so sweet and she didn't mean it. But I was finally able to come to something at the school. You're invited in kindergarten, elementary to come watch them eat chicken nuggets every 5 minutes at the Easter, party. And you're like, come stand behind your kid's chair and we're going to watch them eat chicken nuggets and goldfish. Take a picture. And it's real sweet. But I was finally able to come to something, and the teacher came up to me and just made this big to-do in front of my daughter about,
no.
I'm so glad you were able to finally make it to something, and just make this big. I was devastated. Yeah. I was devastated. And so you have to also know that if you, in plenty of places all around the world, this is normal for women to work and to forge a path. And I hope my daughters are seeing that this can enrich our family, not take away from it. And I want to set that example for them. And I also want them to know that if they choose to stay at home and raise their children and make that their full-time gig, that is incredible too.
I think you framed that up perfect. And I hate like the Bible study leader. That everybody's got an opinion. And I think you did a great job of framing that up, and just kind of like, you can hear those opinions, but at the end of the day, you need to do what's best for you, because everybody's different. That's the reason there's 31 flavors at Baskin Robbins. That's what I always say. Like, everybody's got different opinions and wants, needs, and everything. But in that same moment, it's like, think back to your mom. You looked up to your mom.
So much.
Who worked, who was a mother. So I think, it's easy to let your mind go to like, oh, I'm not doing good. And I'm not saying you're saying that, but like.
Yeah. Oh, well, guilt. And I'm sorry, Paul, you'll never understand.
I'm not going to understand, but
let's have a talk. There is no way to escape mom guilt. I'm pretty sure it goes back to Adam and Eve. Yeah. But like, find me a mom that doesn't feel guilt. We're ridden with it. Whatever choice you make.
Yep. Stay-at-home moms have guilty because they're like, I'm not providing to my family.
I've talked to so many moms who say, I wish I had something like this.
A relief valve.
Right. You talk about the most thankless, never-ending job ever. It's running that house.
Right.
So it's just something that I think we all have to come to terms with, finding peace in. We're all doing the very best we can. And every family is different. I think God gives you the kids he gives you are given to you because he entrusts you to be the steward for them. He created my children to be a product of my husband and me, knowing that we are both type A, love coming up with new things, and he knew that these kids and the way he wired them were going to need to have parents like us, for good or bad or ugly, that's where they're meant to be. And so you really have to trust that, and you got to trust that there's a lot more to it than just this and the here and now. Right. And, that gets really, I can go way off on all that, but you have to kind of take yourself out of the minutia of it and sit back and think, if I have the inclination to make this choice for me and my family, then I've got to find peace with this is how it's meant to be for us. And it might not look like everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. I agree with that. And
so good.
You're obviously given an extremely talented gift, and it's like, to let that go to waste would be.
Well, and other people have extreme talent in ways that I do not have. I hate cooking.
Amen.
I don't. My 14-year-old is much better in the kitchen than I am. It's like, I don't make cute lunches, and I don't have a Pinterest account, and I don't I'm just not that mom, and I'm so sorry, and I wish I could be. And I show up at the birthday parties where everything is so great. I once had a mom come up to me. Okay, this was in the throes of developing OtoPro. I had one in kindergarten, and it was the day before her birthday. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do for your birthday? We invited, I sent out to the entire kindergarten group me, come to the park after school. It's Garnet's birthday. I'm going to have cupcakes. Great. I mean, that was the invitation. And we show up, and I had gone to Kroger and gotten those little bite-size, $5 for 25. It's like that,
Yeah.
with the little cupcakes and a bunch of juice boxes or something. And it was a birthday party. And that was it. And there was a mom that came up to me, and I mean, I love her. And she did not mean it the way it's going to sound. But she comes up and she is like, thank you for setting the bar so low. Guess what? The kids
The kids don't remember what.
There was no theme. There was no.
They don't
color
care how much
scheme.
money you spend
There
on
was
them.
no balloon arch.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just kids running around. I stuck a candle in a bite-sized
Yeah.
cupcake, and that was it.
That's right.
And
That's a
so
whole
true.
nother thing. It's like
Yeah.
spring break. We took the kids, did the whole Noah's Ark thing in Kentucky, and like out of all the deal we did, is like, I sat Hayes down, like, what's your favorite part? And he was like, the pool at the hotel. And I'm like, that thing was a gar hole. Like, that's
Kids are simple.
Okay, here's something that I know we're short on time. Here's something I can leave everybody with. And it's something that I heard Reese Witherspoon say, not in person. I don't know her. I wish I did. Hey, Reese. But what she said
should've just wrote-
is,
you should've just
we
wrote
go
that.
through our lives and we tell people, like, chase your dreams. Like, come up, chase your dreams.
Exactly where you're going. I love this.
Don't chase your dreams. Chase your talents. Like, speaking of, if you're good at like doing the whole domestic thing and making the, every holiday like a magical wonderland in your home and all of that, then chase that talent. If you're like me and you're not so, talented in that regard, but you can really figure out a problem and a solution for people, chase that.
Yep.
If you're good at just figuring stuff out, if you're good at studying that map and figuring out how to sell that real estate, chase that. But stop telling your kids that, like, if you want to be an astronaut, you can be an astronaut. Well, guess what? If you're no good at like astronaut stuff, you're not going to be an astronaut.
Right.
exactly.
So true.
We all have different gifts and aptitudes. Figure out what those are. Figure out what you enjoy. Find that Venn diagram of like, what opportunities do you uniquely have?
Venn
What
diagram.
do you enjoy? What are your gifts and abilities? And find that middle point where they all intersect and go after that.
Yeah, that's good insight. That's really good.
That's so good.
Man, I'm like inspired. I'm like,
Yeah, I was
not
just going to
only
say.
am I gonna get some earplugs today, I mean, that is.
We're gonna
Makes
get
me
you
just
some
wanna-
earplugs. You're gonna go develop the whole
I'm gonna go-
branch of NASCAR, a hearing
be
protection
your
sales for
NASCAR
OtoPro.
liaison.
We got all
Yes.
kind of ideas going.
This is gonna be good. We're scaling.
I love it.
Grace, thank you so much for coming on. You've got an incredible story. I'm so inspired, and I think our listeners are too. That's just been really good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.